Hello and welcome back to the Charles Squared Podcast. My name is Charlie Mason.
And I'm Charles Iverson. Welcome back, everybody. It has been too long.
It's been a while. Today we are going to be breaking down Spider-Man No Way Home, all the movie details, and everything that we think you're going to need to know for the future of the MCU.
Yeah. So, right off the bat, first of all, this movie is incredible. It has everything that I could have wanted. It has great action, first of all. It has some great funny moments, and it surprisingly has a lot of heart.
Yeah, I was shocked. I um, got emotional a couple times in the theater on opening night. I will openly admit that. But I think one of the biggest things about this movie, if you saw it in theaters, was just the energy of
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
it. It definitely rivaled that of Infinity War and Endgame crowds. But for sure, lots of standing ovations, lots of tears, lots of screams.
Yes, this will definitely be a theater experience I will never forget. And I didn't even see it on opening night. I saw it in the middle of the day on Saturday, and I still had that experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we've got a lot to break down, and I want to start it off with what some are calling the Sinister Six, but for our sake, let's just call it the Sinister Five, the lineup of villains in this movie. So Charles, you want to break that down?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, we have Doc Ock, who's the first that Peter meets. Doc Ock being from Spider-Man 2, the second Sam Raimi trilogy movie. Then the next one he meets immediately after Doc Ock is Green Goblin, Norman Osborn from the first Sam Raimi trilogy movie. Then the next one he encounters, I believe, is Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then shortly after that, he meets Sandman from Spider-Man 3. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, then of course there's Lizard, who I believe Doctor Strange captured Lizard initially, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Doctor
and Lizard is
Connors.
of course from The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one.
Yeah. So I feel like the people who made the trailer of this movie did a really good job introducing who all was going to be in the film. Of course, not the heroes, but those villains. We saw everybody. We kind of knew. We were kind of expecting what we saw. A lot of what we saw from them. No big surprises. But I will say it was kind of a cool concept having Doctor Strange involved in the collection, or I guess the capturing of all these villains. Um,
Yeah. And I want to add that they captured all the villains very early in the movie, which isn't something I expected. And so I was left wondering at that point, where are they going to go with this now? And then I think that's when they sort of introduced this like moral concept that
mhm.
Aunt May planted into Peter's mind that you can't just capture and send these people back to their realms because or their universes because now you're responsible for their lives. And I think that's really what this movie was about.
Absolutely. I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming, every Spider-Man movie starring Tom Holland has kind of, set a new value, some kind of characteristic or trait that's being developed through Peter. And I think Spider-Man Homecoming did a good job with just dealing with high school, balancing high school life and that of being Spider-Man. Far From Home did a good job balancing his social life and introducing the spider sense. And then we also have this movie, which kind of deals with what Charles was saying, the moral mission Aunt May introduces when she meets Norman Osborn for the first time.
Yeah, so you know, when they first introduced Norman Osborn in this movie, I was really intrigued by how they did it because we see him briefly as the Goblin on the bridge, but then the next time we see him, he's back as Norman Osborn, and he's just a confused guy who sought help first with Aunt May, then with Peter, and he tries to help Peter genuinely. But then the Goblin comes back, and then of course he Peter feels that he betrays him by killing Aunt May,
Which of
and
course, he kind of did, but
well, yeah. So then, right before Aunt May dies, she repeats or she says a similar line to the one we hear in the original Spider-Man movie that was said by Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility, and I love how they did that.
it was absolutely incredible. And I'll also mention something else. That scene of Peter holding Aunt May mirrored that of Tony holding Peter in Infinity War, and that of Peter holding Tony in Endgame. And I think it's incredible that they've kind of introduced that again, obviously under different circumstances. Peter losing his one known relative is awful. And
Yeah,
that was definitely a heartbreaker.
yeah, and like a lot of how heartbreaking that scene was, I think, is owed to Tom Holland's performance. I mean, wow, such an incredible actor. Like, I I was
I did
so
not
sad
know.
for him.
Right. I didn't know he had that in him. It was incredible to watch when he was like, "All right, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. We're just gonna
Yeah,
take a breath. We'll be fine."
yeah. Like, and in that moment, well, to our knowledge, he lost his remaining blood relatives, and
Right.
then by the end of the movie, he loses all connection to everybody, which is
Which is
really
awful.
sad when you think
Yeah.
about it.
Um, but something I actually wanted to mention because we definitely saw the maturity of the film increase as it went on. What
Oh
I
yeah.
mean by that is in the beginning, it was I kind of felt this fast, this almost rushed pace of the film. The camera was all over the place. It was super informal, and I wasn't really a
Yeah.
fan of how it was set up in the beginning. But we definitely saw a little more maturity in terms of camera angles and as the scenes became more intense, especially with Aunt May. They used some slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
When Peter looked up and saw Happy, for example, the
Oh
music
yeah, that was great.
intensified. So I think just the progression throughout the movie was incredible. They did a great job.
Yeah. To add on to that, I would say that towards the beginning, it still kind of like had the feel of the first two Tom Holland movies. But then by the end, it felt distinctly different in my opinion. Like it, there was something about it that felt more like the Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire movies in terms of tone. Uh and it's quite hard for me to describe
Right.
how exactly it was, but it was just how the movie felt to me by the end. It may have been the fact that he had made his own costume. It may have been the fact that he was now a nobody.
Yeah. I will add at the end. I know we're skipping all over the place, but at the end of the movie, when Peter kind of looks out the window, he gets that new apartment. He's alone, and he's accepted the fact that he's gonna be like that for a while. I
Hmm.
don't know why, but him looking outside and seeing like the snow falling reminded me of like a cheesy ending to a Hallmark movie of some sort. And I thought that was, I don't know why, but it felt like a really mature scene to add, and it really built his character. And I think,
Yeah.
I will say this, I think that, adding that maturity to his character is definitely going to propel him into what's going to be, I think they've confirmed, a college trilogy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of loosely confirmed because I think Amy Pascal, one of the producers, confirmed it, but I don't know if anyone else has. So it's probably happening.
Okay.
But
Hopefully.
yeah, I think it will because I think it'd be weird to end it this way. Like this was definitely a great ending to the Homecoming
Oh,
trilogy,
yeah.
but like now Peter has to move on to a completely new phase of his life. And I really want to see that because like we mentioned with Aunt May dying, she was kind of like they kind of made her the Uncle Ben of this story since we never got an Uncle Ben in the MCU. And as we know, Peter's story doesn't end with Uncle Ben dying. That's just the beginning. So I would really love to see where his character goes from here.
Right. They definitely did something different with Tom Holland, and I feel like this is kind of obvious, but Tom Holland came in as a 15-year-old. Andrew and Toby were obviously much older, seniors in, well, not much older. They were seniors in high school, a lot more mature. They were in different stages than Tom was when he was playing Spider-Man, and so we've kind of hit the base of where Andrew and Toby started. That's where we're leaving off with Tom, so he definitely has so much room to grow.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now that you bring up Andrew and Toby, how about we get into the biggest reveal of the movie, which I guess was already revealed way ahead of time. But I mean, it was incredible to actually see them in the movie, you know? Like,
oh, it was surreal.
Yeah, even though we like both pretty much knew they were in it, like just when I actually saw it happen, I was like, no way.
It was when they said, "Show me Peter Parker," like, "Bring me Peter Parker." That's when I was kind of like, I was like, okay, they're gonna find Peter. And when we saw that he was in an alley that looked unlike any other, and all you could see was the big eyes on the on the
in that moment, I knew
everybody started screaming, and he came in through the portal, and he was like, "I'm Peter Parker, I'm Spider-Man." That was just my childhood.
Yeah, and then like when he pulled off the mask, people
Oh
started
my
screaming
gosh.
again because it was
hear
really
anything.
him.
Oh. And then when Toby came in, something interesting happened. I don't know that a lot of people noticed this, but I've been rewatching this scene over and over again. He walked in and he said, "I know you two."
It was
He
like
looked at MJ and Ned. It was really weird. He goes, and he looked at, was it Ned's grandma? And he went,
I don't know.
"Hi." Like he knew her. And then he said,
Yeah.
and then he looked at Andrew. He goes, that's not your friend.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that, and I expected them to explain it, but then they didn't. I mean, maybe there was a deleted scene or something. I don't
That would
know.
explain a lot because I don't know why, but it was just strange.
That was really strange. Well, I mean, speaking of which, maybe they'll explain it in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I don't know.
I doubt it, yeah,
I,
but maybe something like that. You never know.
yeah. Um. Oh, but on the topic of Andrew Garfield, we got to talk about the redemption that his Spider-Man got.
I could not have been more happy when Tom Holland got hit with the glider. I don't think I'd ever like hear myself saying that, but oh my, when Andrew saw
Yeah.
Tom wasn't gonna get there, somebody in my movie theater screamed, "Go, Andrew!
Yeah.
Go!" And everybody was screaming, "Let's go!" It was
That
just a great moment.
that could not have been more perfect, honestly. And like since he never got like a completion to his Amazing Spider-Man trilogy, like I love that they kind of added in that character arc for him. And it could not have been more perfect. Like,
I know.
when he caught her, MJ was like, or he asked MJ, "Are you okay?" And then she was like, "Yeah, are you okay?" And then you just see his face and he's crying. Like,
It was awesome.
and
I will
Andrew
say,
Garfield
though,
is such a great actor too.
he's so good. Something else, you mentioned his story not being completed. When they were talking about the villains they fought, that scene was really funny because Andrew kind of slid in the fact that he fought the guy in the rhinoceros outfit that we see at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
But it was really funny. He goes, "Wow, you guys have fought alien. I'm lame compared to you." And then we see the Toby Andrew banter, like, "No, man, like it's all about self-love. Like we appreciate you're awesome, man. You're amazing." Did he call him
yes,
amazing?
yeah. I think they actually said amazing. That's
That's
kind of
really funny. I just
Yeah.
caught that. So that was just watching all three of them interact. I couldn't believe it was real. I was sitting in the theater and I was like, I need to remember this. Like, I need to remember how
Yes.
incredible this is. Like, seeing it for the first time. I'm sure watching it back again will be awesome. But
Yeah, watching it back again will be awesome, but I don't think, the experience of being in a theater with everyone being so excited about it, that's irreplaceable. But I'm sure I will enjoy seeing it again when I'm able to.
absolutely. Yeah. Another big thing that happened, we were kind of talking about the end of the movie. Um, how Tom Holland gets this new apartment, this new life, but we never really talked about what it meant for his co-stars. Is it Jake and Zendaya?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So what does it mean for two of the biggest Spider-Man, like for the Homecoming trilogy, two of the biggest characters, um, not remembering who Spider-Man is? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, well, my honest opinion, I think they're done. Unfortunately, I think when Peter decided to leave the coffee shop where MJ works, I think that was kind of him realizing that his friends are happy without him. They don't really need him, and by being friends with them again, he could potentially be putting them in danger. So, I think it's possible we could see them again. I'm not completely discounting that possibility. In fact, I think it is pretty likely that we'll see them again. But I also kind of feel like story wise, it would work if we didn't see them again.
And I was just gonna say that. So you were bringing up how they're not gonna remember him, obviously, or we brought that up. Well, Doctor Strange, I just realized is not gonna be able to remember him. None of and this goes
Mm-hmm.
back to Andrew and Toby and Tom all talking. The Avengers scene. He goes, guys, I was part of a team. I was part of the Avengers. He goes, the Avengers? No way, that's awesome. What is that?
Yeah.
That he goes, is it a band? Are you part of a band? That discussion was awesome. But it
Yeah.
means that I could see in the future of the MCU, Spider-Man not having anything to do with any other Avenger ever again.
Yeah, I could actually see that too. Well, I think there's two possibilities. I think, well, as you know, and probably most listeners know, Sony and Marvel Studios have a contract because Sony owns the film rights to use Spider Man, but they have this contract to share Spider Man right now. If they decide not to renew that contract, then the ending they set up in No Way Home gives them essentially like two ways to take the future. They could either have Spider-Man not interact with any Avengers ever again, and it would make perfect sense because they wouldn't remember him anyway. Um, or if they decide they do want to renew the contract, Spider-Man could still interact with the other Avengers. They just wouldn't remember he's Peter Parker.
Right. And I think one of the most important things to remember is that at the end of the movie in that post-credit scene, we did get Venom. Venom is now in the same universe that Peter's in.
Well, he was,
A
but
piece
then
of
he
Venom.
went back.
No,
Oh,
but he
yes,
left behind a
yes, that's
piece.
right.
He left
Um,
behind a piece. So Venom is
yeah,
in the universe. And we need to remember that. So, I think Sony's doing a great job with their relationship with Marvel. I think, sadly, it's going to end. I think that's for the best, honestly. We got a lot of Peter Parker we got Peter Parker and the Avengers. Now and this movie kind of gave us Peter Parker with the Avengers and other Peter Parkers, which was leaning towards more of just seeing Peter Parker, and I think now we're finally transitioning into solo Peter Parker movie.
yeah, and as much as I really do want a solo Peter Parker movie, I also want him to stay in the MCU just because, like, you know, Tony Stark has been a big figure in this version of Peter Parker's life, and I feel like if suddenly, like, he's not able to, like, mention Tony Stark ever again or have anything to do with him, I feel like that just wouldn't make much sense. Now, obviously, nobody at Stark Industries would know who he is. Pepper Potts wouldn't know who he is. Happy Hogan wouldn't know who he is. But I feel like if Spider-Man stayed out of the MCU, that would take away part of who he is.
Right, that's a good point. That's a really good point. But I will say, I could see something happening, like a WandaVision kind of scenario, and I just brought that up because we see Wanda completely isolated from the MCU, and if if Wanda and Vision's characters were under, a different licensing company, then they would have had no problem with interacting with Marvel. There was really no connection at all that you could really bring up, that I can remember.
Well, like, do you mean
Obviously,
within the WandaVision show?
yeah. Well, she went to the headquarter to get the body, but like if they were careful about it, I could see a way in which Wanda, if she wasn't part of the if she wasn't part of the MCU, could have been completely untouched by it. And I think that's what's going to happen with Peter. I think he's going to go through at least one movie, and I think it's going to be the movie with Venom. I think that makes the most sense.
I think
Um,
the next movie will definitely be him dealing with Venom. And even if even if he does stay in the MCU, they renew the contract with Marvel, I think it will probably just be like a solo Spider-Man movie.
yeah,
And honestly, I really want that. Like as
I
much as
will
I want him
say,
still in the MCU, I do want a solo Spider-Man
yeah,
movie with Tom Holland.
I agree with that. But I will say it would be nice. Solo, I don't mean alone. I want MJ. I want Ned. I want the
Yeah.
supporting characters so badly. And that's where it gets complicated because they don't remember him.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I think probably you know, at the end of this movie we see him with a GED study book. I think he's going to end up getting his GED diploma and then he's probably going to be in college by the time we see him again. But he's probably not going to be in MIT just because there's like no record of like how well he's done in school. He's not getting into MIT. So I honestly think MJ and Ned are probably out for those reasons. I mean, I'm sure they could do a bunch of like storyline gymnastics to get them into the story, but I think he'll have a new love interest, maybe Gwen Stacy,
mm.
and he'll have a new best friend, maybe Harry Osborne.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't think that Harry Osborn would be evil just because they've already done that twice. And I
Right.
don't think they'll introduce Norman Osborn just because they had an alternate version of Norman Osborn
Yeah.
already in the MCU.
So it might be like a toned down version of what we've already seen. Just first you could say was when did the first Spider-Man movie come out? Was it 2002?
Yeah, it would have been
Okay.
2002.
A 2002 version of Harry Osborn. I feel like that's the best way to put it because Harry and Peter were just friends. Obviously Norman was there, but Harry had no relation to the Green Goblin whatsoever. So
Yeah,
maybe something like that.
yeah,
It would be sad though to see MJ and Peter's relationship suddenly end like that. That would be a bummer.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like the, you know what I know I just said that I think they're out of the story now, but now that I'm thinking about it, MJ is still wearing that Black Dahlia necklace at the end of the movie that
Oh
Peter
yeah,
gave him in Far or Peter gave her in Far From Home. So, I mean, you never know. I
that's
think
another thing.
there's
How
still that
does that how does
possibility.
it work? It's like Happy's like, oh yeah, how'd you know? Or like through Spider Man, so they both had a connection to Spider Man. It's like, but Happy, do you know who Spider Man is? No. How do you how do you know May? Oh, it's Spider Man's aunt. Who's Spider Man? I don't know.
It's probably
How
best not to think about the
how'd you
logic
get
too
that?
much
Hey
here.
hey MJ, how'd you get that necklace? I don't know. Also, where was Wong? That's another thing I want to add.
Well,
Was he affected by the spell? Was he in the universe?
well,
He said, "You can do it. I'm leaving. This is like what you have to do." And Doctor Strange made a big deal about it. He's like, "We have to do this before he gets back."
yeah.
So what if Wong remembers him, comes back, and reverses it somehow?
No.
You never know.
That would just like
It's
completely
Marvel.
defeat the purpose of his sacrifice though.
That's very
Of Peter's
true.
sacrifice. No, I don't think Wong would remember cuz I'm pretty sure the spell just affects everybody no
Okay,
matter where you're at.
that's unfortunate.
But speaking of Wong and Doctor Strange, we got to talk about that Multiverse of Madness trailer that was
Oh
at
my
the
gosh.
very end of the movie.
We obviously knew that Wanda was going to be in it, but now Doctor Strange needs her help, but with what?
Yeah, I don't know. He specifically says that this isn't about Westview. And well, that's significant, I think, for two reasons. One, I I feel like it might be the first time that an MCU movie references the events of an MCU show. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first time that's happened so far. And two, I'm actually surprised he's not there about something about Westview.
It could be something about Loki, TVA. I don't know how that's going to tie in. I hope it does. It
I think
could
it
be
has
something.
to.
It could be the aftermath of what happened in No Way Home with, the sky breaking open. Maybe something went wrong.
Well,
Um,
the fact that the trailer opens with uh like the lines that I think it was some Doctor Strange line, like when they were doing the spell, I think. But the trailer does open with a line that was in No Way Home, so I feel like the events of No Way Home will impact the movie in some way. Maybe not
okay.
in a significant way.
Okay. I could see that happening. And, that's just going to be a great movie. The Obviously, we're not going to, it's been pushed back. We're going to see it in May 2021. So we have a little longer wait. But it's going to be the next time that we see multiple Avengers, I believe, in the same place. That's my prediction. Is that
You
it's the
think
next
so?
time we're going to see him. I don't think Hawkeye's going to give us much with multiple Avengers. And then I think we have a break.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. I thought you meant like all of the Avengers were gonna get together in
Oh,
that
I
movie.
do see more than two being in it, though. Maybe three, maybe four. We might see Vision. You never know.
Oh, actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, I bet we probably will see White Vision
We could
from
see a
WandaVision.
couple. We could see a couple Avengers in there. Thor: Love and Thunder, I feel like, is going to be a way more personal story.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, probably. Probably a lot of
so
it will take place in space.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe refounding Asgard or something of the sort. So never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I think this is probably a good place to end this episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I know we've been inactive for a while now, but we're gonna try to dive right back in and pick up where we left off. We've got a lot of new, exciting ideas for you guys, including our annual recap and predictions, which will probably be coming out sometime in the first week of January. We're going to go over what we thought of this year's movies and compare them to how we rated them earlier this year, which is going to be super exciting.
Yes, and of course, next week, or I guess this week, we've got the final episode of Hawkeye season one coming out. I definitely recommend watching that show. I know it's been overshadowed a lot by No Way Home hype, but it's a really good show. So we are going to be reviewing that and discussing that coming up very shortly.
And finally, the Book of Boba Fett. Correct me if I'm wrong, is it December 29th?
I don't know the exact date. It's like really close to the end of December, though.
Yeah, so we've got the Book of Boba Fett coming out too. So we've got a lot in store for you guys. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.